You're on, Ed. You're on mute still.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I will start with the front page of this, mostly talking about the facilitator, Ed Cowan. That's the one thing I know a little bit about. Just like Chris Gardini, I've been doing this every day since April 20th, 1994. I've been doing GP. So by default, I know a lot about it. I know its weaknesses and its strengths. And is it perfect? Not even close, but is it good? It's very good, in my opinion. Um, I also like to speak to the team, the GP team that we have at Turnkey currently. I like to think of it as a fine grappa with the stems and the seeds and the skins have all been fermented into a very fine um, selection of wine that is absolutely dedicated to GP, to the person. Everyone on the team is absolutely dedicated to GP and moreover dedicated to your success because your success is our happiness. So I was assigned to talk about 5 reporting options in GP, and these reporting options that I'm going to discuss are out of the box. There's no third parties in here. I may touch on where third parties may add some additional functionality. But what I invite you to do is think about your current deployment of GP. Think about when it was done, who was in charge and in place during that implementation, and what's changed since then. This is a good opportunity, I think, for folks to take a look at the core reporting and just give it another chance. I'll try and point out where it can take you into the next steps and make GP even more powerful for you. Um, the reports that I'm going to talk about are the canned out of the box reports. This is one way to get to those reports so that they're visible to you. On the administration homepage, Microsoft Dynamics GP reports in the navigation pane. This is one way to do it. It's really not my favorite way to do it. My favorite way to do it is to go into the report writer in GP because in here you can see all of your modified reports that people have modified along the way. And you can see how they were modified and you can make improvements on those. On the left hand side are the original reports. You can't do anything with those reports. You can't delete them. You can't modify them. They're they're just a template, a starting place, and that's a good thing because you can't mess them up because they're secure. What you would do is move them over into the modified report area and then make modifications to them. And you might ask, why would I need to make a modification to a report? Um, One example that I see a lot of folks use is the statement, the customer statement. If you have more than the default current 30, 60, 90 day buckets, then you're going to need to modify that report. And I encourage you to either locate a person in your organization or reach out to Turnkey and we'd be glad to, get you started or help you to modify these reports and understand how it works, how far you can go, how you can break them, how you can recover from breaking them, and the methods that um, are pretty much standard for modifying these reports. And I will say at this point that one of the major things that you need to remember is when you get a report that you're modifying, that you're working on. When you get it to a place that you're happy, typically folks start with the header, then the body, then the footer. When you get to a place where you're happy, save it, because then you can come back to that saved area. And if you do something crazy down the road, it's easy to recover. The next thing we're going to talk about is the smart list. Hopefully, everybody has exposure to this and is using the smart list, because it's an amazing tool for getting information out of GP, and it's a great template. It's a good starting place, but there are uh, many tools available to you in the standard product out of the box that allow you to add columns, obviously restrict the reports so that you just return the data that you want. And then one of the most exciting things is just hit the Excel button and have it dump out into Excel, which you can publish or manipulate or however you want to use it. But it's a great tool. Um, I will say that the Smart List Designer is included with the core product, and you can add additional GP tables to a report. Um, the Smart List was actually first developed and published by a company called E1. E1 has been in the GP environment forever, as far as I know, and they have a add-on product called Smart List Designer, which allows you to do a lot more robust reporting. For instance, you can build a SQL query or a view in SQL and have it report and return the data off of that view. Pretty powerful stuff. Um, the next thing that we'll talk about is the report server SSRS. SSRS stands for SQL Server Reporting Services. Um, this is this requires a little planning to get it deployed. Obviously, SQL Server Reporting Services need to be running on your SQL Server. And I think one of the best ways to look at these reports is a starting place for an SSRS report, because it has the data connections already built in. So you find one that's pretty close to what you're looking for or trying to do, and then find somebody in your team or reach out to Turnkey if you need modifications to that SSRS report. Um, the next one is Management Reporter. And I will say that this is a replacement for FRX, which was a much loved and sometimes hated um, financial reporting tool that came with GP. Um, Microsoft chose to kill that product and bring us Management Reporter, which basically behaves the same way as FRX, with some minor differences. Um, if you are still on FRX and you're concerned about that, you should be concerned about it. Just let us know, because Microsoft is very anxious to help you move off of FRX into Management Reporter. And there are still people on board at Microsoft that will assist us in taking your sys data directory and cleaning it up and grooming it so that the migration to Management Reporter is painless. So if you're still on FRX, think about contacting us and we'll get you moved over. It's a great product, and we'll touch on it a little deeper, a little more. The last one that I'm going to speak to is the Excel refreshable reports. That's exactly what it sounds like, not unlike SSRS reports, except that you skip the part where you view the data in a web-like environment and it goes directly to Excel. And these can be updated as well. And again, these are a similar situation where you start with a report that's close to what you want. It's probably not going to be exactly what you want. And then either have someone on your team that knows how to modify these, or again, reach out to Turnkey so that you can get the Excel refreshable report that you want. Um, so I'm going to tempt the gods and I'm going to try a live demo. And this is always scary stuff because demoing products can be sometimes surprising. But I'm feeling brave today. And so we're going to go into a live GP implementation. And we're going to first talk about the first one. The first page on the PowerPoint was the GP reports and the navigation to that. If over in the navigation pane, and I encourage you, and a lot of folks have been using GP for a long time, and they will use the menus to get to places. Um, I encourage you to try and use the navigation pane where possible because you can actually see everything that's in the series rather than if you went to transaction sales, it's hard to tell, everything that's there. You can see that from this palette-driven menu compared with the home page, there's a lot there, including all the reports and so forth. Um, I start typically on the home page, and I will open this up so that we can see all reports, and this will return all the reports that come with GP. Also, it should be mentioned that depending on what um, products you have loaded determines what reports are available to you. So if you have manufacturing or payroll or HR, you're going to see those reports. Where if you don't have those activated, and that's done during the install, you're not going to see those reports. So this is a list. Looks like it's about 2,083 reports. If we look at the Microsoft Dynamics GP reports, these are the canned reports out of GP. And these are nice. This is a nice way to look at it because you can also see the reports that you have modified. And you'll be able to tell they're modified because they'll have, under the option, they'll have a label. So an age trial balance, double click on that. And in a perfect world, voila, you have your age trial balance. And this has been modified to the extent that it's got a customer restriction on it. And so someone saved this as a saved as a favorite, um, and so forth. So now let me just take you into the report writer. We'll spend a little bit of time in here, and I hope you don't get scared here. This is a little bit of a um, a dinosaur, if you will. It's long in the tooth, but it's very important, and I'll explain why it's very important as we go in here. So if we go, and I'm having trouble getting that up. Tool, customize report writer. Okay, there we go. This actually takes you out of GP and puts you into the report writer. So from here, just like we saw on the PowerPoint, we can take a look at the reports that we have modified. And then these are the original reports that are unmodified and cannot be modified. But you can take any one of these reports over and modify them. So if we look at a modified report, I know this is a little bit scary, but actually, let's take a look at a statement. I think that's where we want to be.
Hey, thanks, Wes.
Statement on blank paper, because that's the one that I mentioned before. So if you have more than the 4 aging buckets that are default in GP, then you're going to need to bring these aging buckets onto this modified report so that you can see them.
All right, great.
This is this is a little bit more of an art than a science. It's a lot of how does that work? You know, you can draw it and then print it and see how it goes. But I think one of the more important things about modifying the statement is that allows you then to email a Word template statement out of GP. And if you haven't heard about that, it's a very powerful tool that you can actually, from GP, email customer statements. You can also, another popular report that gets emailed that would also be dealt with in the modified report writer is Eft Remittance Advice.
Thanks, everyone.
You can configure GP so that when you do an EFT check run, automatically, when you post those EFT payments, it will automatically send an EFT payment remittance to a customer. That's going to save a lot of time and make a lot of customers happy because they know it's coming, they know it's getting paid, and I think they appreciate that. So you might ask, how is this going to become a Word template? It's because the report writer is still used to pull the data from GP. So if you were to take this statement, print it as an XML file, that is your starting place for a Word template. Now you've got a Word template that is using the same format that you've designed in Report Writer, and now you have that available to send out to your customers. So that's the Report Writer and the customized tools. I like to spend a little bit of time, and I'll try not to start training, which is typically how I spend my time in GP. So the way to get out of this is to go to File, Microsoft Dynamics GP, and that'll take you back into GP. You don't have to exit out and then log into GP again. The Smart List. One of the things that I think is most important is to have this icon on your desktop. And the way you get that is to right click in this menu area and select this standard item from that menu. So you notice that if I don't have the standard, I don't have the Smart List. So just come in here, click standard, and there's your Smart List. I'm assuming that everyone has at least a glancing knowledge of Smart List, but we'll just take a look real quick. We'll take a look at the GL, for instance. So if I go ahead and hit the default GL report, you notice it stops at 1,000 records, and it's designed to do that. If you need more, you would go up here to search, and you would up these maximum records to whatever you feel like is enough. I think 10 million should do it. And then you will get all your records. This company has way too many GL accounts, so that'll take quite a while. So I'll just go ahead and stop it. One of the nice things about this, as I mentioned, is you can just hit the Excel button up here and have it dump the data into Excel. I cannot do that in this environment because this is actually a server console and Office is not loaded here. So you have to believe me on that one. But what we can talk about is maybe adding another column. So you notice I clicked on columns. I can now click on add, and I can get the account index. And you might ask, why would I need the account index? Well, you might need it because SQL actually stores the GL account by that account index. So this way you know what the account index is. And there it is. If you want to maybe move that account index up, you can just highlight this guy and move it up wherever you want it. And that's where it's going to show up. If you like this report and you want to save this report, you would click on favorites and you'd name it something. And this would be PL. Spell that correctly. You have the option to make it visible to, specific users of the whole company or the system. And the system implies you would not only see it in this company, you would see it in all companies. If you want to password it, you can do that here. And then you would click add favorite. And then when we go back to the report list, and there's an ever so subtle caret up here. But if you click that, you can go back to the account 3, and you can see that if I click on this and I get the standard, then click on my favorite, you don't have to do anything to it because it's saved as a favorite. If there are any questions on that, we'd be glad to give you some help on that. Or again, I encourage all companies to find someone internally first that is willing to take this on and learn it, and then train everybody else. We're going to go into next. I'm going to go to administration because I think it's a little easier to get to it from there. I'm going to go to the reporting services reports. So this, again, this is depending on SQL Server reporting services being installed and running in your environment. And I've got a report picked out here that seems to be to work pretty fast. Some of these take a really long time because there's so much data in this company, but there's one here that I found, and it's this cache requirements. So if I click on that, come down here, and I'm tempting cache position. Nope, that was the wrong one. I didn't want that one. See, the demo guides. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the cache position. There it is. I'm going to deselect this, select this, go to the cache position, returns that pretty quick. And this is cool because this will show, I mean, this is a great KPI, right? But what if you want to know more? All you do is click on this to drill down and get even more data. So that's out of the box. There's nothing been modified on this report. And again, this is a good starting place, I think, for building a report that's maybe more apropos to your environment. And then we're going to talk about the management reporter. Management reporter is pretty robust tool. Basically, if you remember FRX, if you used FRX, it's remarkably similar to FRX in that there are what they call report definitions, which is basically a collection of rows, columns, and trees. So this is using a row of a consolidated balance sheet, and we can see that the mapping is very similar to FRX, and it's very easy to map these. It's time consuming. You should be prepared to spend a little bit of time getting these going, but once they're there, these rows, columns, and trees can all be reused for other reports. So if you, let's see, this guy doesn't have an account map. So you can see, oh, it's okay. So take a look at this guy, and you can see basically what's going on here is, it picked account number 1182, which is the main segment of this account. But you can also drill down, and then you can see if you wanted it to go, if you wanted a range, you could pick a range for this. And now you've got this whole range on this one row. Most folks will do just what they did here. They're just interested in one account, but there are situations obviously where you want a range. And you can do that as well. Formatting is just like FRX. If you double click on these fields, you get all of the possibilities of what you can put in here. Every row needs to have something in it. If it's a label, it should have a label in it. The totals are just the same. The only difference is when you have a range in Management Reporter, which you can see it's from row 170 to row 590, which includes the underscore. It uses a colon rather than a 2. That's really the only difference between Management Reporter and FRX. Column definitions, same deal. We'll go back and we'll take a look at the column that's being used by this. And it looks like that. And again, these can be reused. You can define the company that you're pulling and so forth in the row. And then if you need a tree, you can also do trees. And trees allow you to pull maybe a department or let's see, I think there's some trees in here. We can take a look at one. So here's a tree where they're pulling different companies and consolidating those into one report. So they're consolidating 2 companies into one report with this tree. Another nice thing about Management Reporter that FRX struggled with, I think, is the report schedules. So you can actually have a schedule that pulls a report in the middle of the night. If you've got a large report that you know is going to take a while to generate, you can actually have the report scheduler pull that as often as you want, and it will then be available via the report viewer, which is a different application. And that report viewer is what you give to the users because they can't modify the reports, but they can view the reports. And there's security and so forth as to who can see what and the security. And then there's another thing that's different about Management Reporter is it's dependent on Active Directory. So you have to have an Active Directory name in order to use Management Reporter. So that's really what I had for you. I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. I know I'm a little quick, 20 minutes. If anybody has any, yeah.
Hey, a client has a very specific question, and you may be able to cover it, you may not on this presentation. But yep. He's asking, is there a way to apply a monthly charge to a row you create? Example, monthly overhead where it knows that June is the 6th month of the year, and then it fills in the row as 6 times the defined monthly amount in the year-to-date income statement column, while also using the defined monthly amount in the month-only column of that income statement.
Yeah. I would say that one of the ways that you might get away with that is with a unit account, which is a non-financial account. You should be able to potentially use that and then bring that unit account in to Management Reporter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to type it in the chat session right now for Ed.
Let me see the chat. Jason, did you want us to follow up?
Oh, new message. He was happy with that. So
he's happy with that? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was easy.
He'll try it on it. He'll try it first. But does anybody else have any other types of reporting questions?
And again, these are standard canned reports out of GP. These are not any third parties, which there are many of. And are we hearing from E1 during these presentations at all?
Yes, tomorrow morning.
Cool. Okay, they're going to talk to PopDoc. I am here to tell you PopDoc is what's going to bring GP into the 22nd century. It allows you to actually expose your data on a website, just like SmartList or SmartList Builder. It's a beautiful thing. I actually deployed it internally against an on-premise standalone server and got it working so that I can get PopDoc reports anywhere I want. Any internet-enabled device that has a browser, you can get your reports. So that's where the reporting is going. We know where we are today. We know that where we are today is where we've been for the past 15 years. That's not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just that, folks get kind of, especially accounting people, don't like change. And I don't blame you. They've got a report that works and that's fine and it's good enough. Well, is good enough really good enough? This is a chance for you to take another look. Maybe there's a new controller on board. Maybe he has some different ideas. This is a great opportunity to go out and take another look.
Hey, Ed, we haven't. Sorry to cut you off, Ed.
I can't. Sorry, because I don't have Office loaded on this console, the server console.
Oh, so you can't show an example of an Excel refreshable reports.
Right. I can show you how it'll fail. How's that? So I can show you what the Excel refreshable reports are. And there's a bunch of them. There are 802 in this implementation. So maybe account transactions. One of the good things, and I'll show you how it fails basically. But one of the main things that you get out of this are the data connections. That's the hardest part to this. So if I try and run this report, it'll tell me, don't think so. You don't have anything you don't have an application that can display this. So unfortunately, I can't show you that. But the Excel refreshable reports are very easy to deploy in your own environment. And the way you do that is, and here I go, training again. Sorry. The way you do that is out here in setup and reporting tool setup and Excel reports. This is very simple because all you have to do is define where you want those Excel reports to live. So this needs to be a UNC path, not a map drive, but a UNC path. And it makes sense to make it a UNC path that everyone, or at least your accounting team, has access to. Once you deploy these reports, and if I can get away with this, sometimes this is a little bit fussy, but you can just deploy the Excel reports. You don't have to have Ssrs or anything like that because it's just putting them out to a directory. So if you're interested in trying these, and really, why not? Because you own them already. Why not deploy them just come in here to the reporting tool setup or give us a call, send an email to support@turnkeytech.com so that it gets assigned to the correct person, and we will walk you through deploying these reports. And then, you can see it with your data, and again, it's a starting place. And maybe the reports that are there are enough for you, but why not try it in your own environment?
Okay.
It's easy. Even I can do it. Amazing.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Ed right now?
Cool. Okay, Monica. I encourage you to come back for Wes, because Wes is, not only does he work for you, he works for us. And we try and stump him all the time, and we can't do it. He's just, he's the best. And it's so great to have the team that we have acquired here at Turnkey. Because of the consolidation of partners, we have the opportunity to have the people that really want to do this are the ones that are on this team. And that's what makes it, I think, very special. And I hope that you give us a chance to prove that to you moving forward.
Okay, Ed.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Great. All right. So we are going to take about a 30-minute break, and Wes Hader will be on at 3:30, talking about the Turnkey customer portal. So look forward to seeing you on the next one. And yep, about 30 minutes. We'll reconvene.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for
Thanks.
coming. Good stuff.